Peppa Pig Peppa meets the Queen. Peppa and her family are watching television. Suddenly, there is a special announcement from the Queen. The Queen! The Queen! Peppa cheers. Hello to you all, the Queen says. Today I have decided to give an award to the hardest working person in the country.
Wow!
The hardest working person in the country is Miss Rabbit. At the supermarket, Miss Rabbit is closing the shop when Mr. Zebra the postman presents her with a golden letter. Miss Rabbit, please come to my palace to get a medal for all your hard work. Bring friends, all the best, the Queen. I can't visit the Queen, I've got too much work to do, Miss Rabbit panics. Don't worry, Peppa says. The Queen has made it a holiday. It is the day Miss Rabbit visits the Queen. Peppa and her friends are going too. We're off to see the Queen, we're off to see the Queen. E-I-A-D-O, we're off to see the Queen. Here we are, Miss Rabbit squeaks.
Wow!
Look at all the fancy stuff. Woof, Danny Dog says. Don't touch anything, Miss Rabbit warns. Where is the Queen? Emily Elephant asks. Queen! Susie Sheep calls. Where are you? In another fancy room, there is a lady sitting on a throne knitting. Hello, Peppa says. Have you seen the Queen today? I am the Queen, the lady says. The children are very excited to meet you, Your Majesty, says Miss Rabbit. I'm excited to meet all of you, the Queen says, standing up. And now for Miss Rabbit's medal.
Wow!
This is the Queen's award for industry. Keep up the good work. The Queen puts a shiny gold medal over Miss Rabbit's head. Cheers for Miss Rabbit, the Queen says. Hip hip, hooray, shout the children. Miss Rabbit and the children wear their boots to go out into the palace gardens with the Queen. Do you play in your garden all the time, Your Majesty? Danny Dog asks. I don't have time for playing, no, answers the Queen. She suddenly stops. Oh dear, a muddy puddle. Never mind, we can walk around it. You can't walk around a muddy puddle, Peppa says. You have to jump in it. Peppa shows the Queen how to jump up and down in a muddy puddle. I say, that does look fun, the Queen says. Here one goes then. Stop! Shouts Peppa. Everyone gasps. If you jump in muddy puddles, Peppa says, you must wear your boots, Your Majesty. The Queen goes inside and comes back with her boots on. Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles, including the Queen. The end. Peppa Pig, Grumpy Rabbit's hovercraft. Grandpa Pig is taking Peppa and George out for the first time on his sailing boat. Hello, old bean, says Mr. Stallion. Grandpa, that man just called you an old bean, cries Peppa. It's another way of saying old friend, says Grandpa Pig. Now, where did I leave my boat? Says Grandpa Pig. What does your boat look like, Grandpa? Asked Peppa. It has a little red flag on top of the mast, says Grandpa Pig. Like that little flag? Asked Peppa. Oh dear, Grandpa Pig's sailing boat has sunk.
Oh no!
Grampy Rabbit zooms past the boat.
What is that monstrosity?
Asked Mr. Stallion.
Is it allowed in the sailing club?
Asks Mrs. Corgi. Grampy Rabbit reaches Peppa and George.
Hello!
Shouts Grampy Rabbit.
What a marvellous day for sailing.
Hello, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa.
Grandpa Pig, you look sad,
says Grampy Rabbit.
What's the matter?
We can't go sailing because our boat has sunk, says Peppa.
Why don't you hop onto my hovercraft?
Suggests Grampy Rabbit.
You can't drive that thing around here,
says Grandpa Pig.
You're not a member of the sailing club. Well, you're a member, aren't you?
Replies Grampy Rabbit.
So I'm sure it will be perfectly fine.
Hooray!
Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig board Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft.
Hold on to your hats,
shouts Grampy Rabbit as they zoom across the sea. Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft can go on land and water.
Wow!
Mr. Stallion and Mrs. Corgi are enjoying a peaceful day's sailing.
Oh, what is that horrible noise?
Cries Mrs. Corgi.
It's that monstrosity again,
says Mr. Stallion.
Whoopee! Ha ha!
Says Grampy Rabbit. Grampy Rabbit stops off at the Sailing Club Cafe to get some juice.
This is the life, eh?
Says Grampy Rabbit.
The sea and the sky and the boat sailing by.
Wow!
But the boats are not sailing by, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa.
There's no wind,
says Grandpa Pig. Without wind, sailing boats can't sail. Suddenly, they hear voices calling for help. It's Mr. Stallion and Mrs. Corgi. We need to rescue them, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa. Grampy Rabbit zooms towards the shouting.
Ahoy there,
he calls.
We can't get back to the dock without the wind,
says Mrs. Corgi.
Toss me a line and I'll tow you back in,
says Grampy Rabbit. Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft tows the sailing boats back to shore.
We're towing the boats to shore, we're towing the boats to shore,
sings Grampy Rabbit.
We're towing the boats to the car park, towing the boats to B Park,
sings Grampy Rabbit.
Now you don't have to go so far to walk your cars. But sailing boats don't go on land like hovercrafts,
gasps Grandpa Pig.
Grandpa Pig, who is your friend?
asks Mr. Stallion.
We must thank him for rescuing us.
His name is Grampy Rabbit, replies Grandpa Pig.
Grampy Rabbit, delighted to meet you, old bean,
says Mr. Stallion.
You too, old bean,
replies Grampy Rabbit. The end. Peppa Pig and the Family Reunion. Peppa and George are very excited. Today the pig family is having a reunion.
Wow!
Everyone in the family will be there.
You've brought pie,
says Peppa.
I love pie.
Says George. Uncle Pig and Auntie Pig unpack the car. They have brought a lot of stuff for the baby. Daddy Pig helps Uncle Pig unload a high chair, some baby toys, a stroller, and even a bathtub. Peppa likes baby Alexander.
Would you like to help feed the baby?
asks Auntie Pig.
Oh, yes,
says Peppa. She tries to feed baby Alexander. He turns away. Peppa tries again. The baby won't open his mouth.
Oh no!
Try playing an airplane,
says Auntie Pig. She shows Peppa how to fly the spoon into baby Alexander's mouth. It works.
Can you say airplane?
asks Peppa. Baby Alexander can't talk yet. Peppa wants to teach baby Alexander to talk.
Can you say dinosaur?
says baby Alexander. Later that night, it's time to put baby Alexander to bed. But he doesn't sleep for long.
What's that noise?
asks Peppa. Baby Alexander is awake.
No, what's that other noise? That's the vacuum cleaner,
says Chloe. Why are you vacuuming at night? asked Daddy Pig. And why is Auntie Pig playing a trumpet? Loud noises are the best way to get baby Alexander to sleep, shouts Uncle Pig. We are a very noisy family. It is a very noisy night. After breakfast the next morning, everyone goes for a walk. Peppa tries to teach baby Alexander a new word.
Look, a bird,
says Peppa.
Caw, caw.
Says baby Alexander.
Sky,
Says Peppa.
caw, caw.
Says baby Alexander. Then it's time for the family reunion lunch. They are having Peppa's favourite, spaghetti. Daddy Pig and Uncle Pig love spaghetti too. Both of them ask for more. For dessert, everyone has a piece of Granny Pig's pie.
Hooray!
Yum,
Peppa says to baby Alexander.
caw, caw.
Says baby Alexander. Chloe has brought her puppet theatre, and she and Peppa and George put on a puppet show.
Wow!
They make a Chloe puppet, a Peppa puppet, and a dinosaur puppet for George. Everyone claps after the puppet show. Well, almost everyone. Daddy Pig and Uncle Pig have fallen asleep. Peppa and Chloe go outside to play before the reunion is over. Baby Alexander likes to watch them play in the mud.
Look, baby Alexander,
Says Peppa.
we're jumping up and down in muddy puddles.
And then it happens. Baby Alexander says his first word.
Puddles.
Well done, baby Alexander. Well done, Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig, My Daddy and Me. This is my daddy and me. We do everything together. I love doing things with my daddy because he can do anything.
Wow.
What are we going to do next, Daddy? Here are some of our favourite things to do. We love being cheeky monkeys at the playground, swinging on the climbing frame, and zooming down the slide at super speeds. My daddy is king of the playground. We love gliding across the ice in our skates and wearing fabulous costumes. You're so graceful, Daddy. My daddy is king of the ice. We love painting pictures of nature, especially when nature joins in.
Bonk, bonk.
My daddy is king of painting pictures. We love playing sports, especially muddy ones. My daddy is king of sports. We love planning adventures and going on them too. Are you sure this is the right way to play group, Daddy? My daddy is king of adventures. We love travelling together and always go everywhere as fast as we possibly can. Come on, Daddy, we're going to be late for the ball. My daddy is king of the road. But most of all, we love having picnics together. We eat them on the beach, in the countryside, or even high up in the clouds. My daddy and me love doing everything together. My daddy is king of my whole world. The end. George's woolly hat. Peppa and George are spending the day at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Hooray!
George is wearing a new woolly hat.
Wow.
Don't get your new hat muddy, George, says Mummy Pig. We promise not to get George's hat muddy, says Grandpa Pig. Peppa and George are playing in the garden. It is a very windy day. Hold on to your hat, says Peppa. Wah! Cries George as his hat sails up into the sky. Catch it, George, shouts Peppa. George chases his woolly hat right through the mud. George, you are all muddy, cries Peppa. But George's hat is still clean. The wind blows his woolly hat across the garden. Oh no! George's woolly hat is caught in a tree. I'll get it down for you, says Peppa. Grandpa Pig and George watch as Peppa climbs up the tree. Perhaps I should help, says Grandpa Pig. Oops, cries Peppa. Poor Peppa has fallen from the tree and landed in the mud. I see two little piggies who need a bath, says Grandpa Pig. Next time, George's hat blows onto some reeds in the pond. Luckily, your hat is still clean, George, says Grandpa Pig. He grabs a stick and reaches across the pond. Don't fall in, says Peppa. I know what I'm doing, Peppa, replies Grandpa Pig. Splash! Grandpa Pig falls into the pond. That was a silly thing to do, says Granny Pig. We were trying to get George's hat back, Granny, says Peppa. Where is George's woolly hat now? asks Granny Pig. Granny Pig spots the hat.
Hooray!
It has landed on a spade, on a pile of stinky manure. If you walk on that manure, you'll sink, warns Grandpa Pig. Hush, Grandpa Pig, I have no intention of sinking, says Granny Pig, laughing. Carefully, Granny Pig climbs over the manure until she reaches the woolly hat. Got it, she cheers, but then Granny Pig falls over and lands in the heap of stinky manure. Ooh, smelly, Granny, says Peppa. Grandpa Pig, Peppa and George start to giggle. Mummy Pig arrives to collect Peppa and George. You promised not to let the children get muddy, cries Mummy Pig. Yeah, actually, we promised not to let George's hat get muddy, says Grandpa Pig. George's hat is the only clean thing, says Mummy Pig. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa goes to the cinema. Peppa and George are going to see this Super Potato movie at the cinema. Get your super potatoes here, shouts Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox's stall is full of toys. There are carrots, bananas, and lots of potatoes. Ew, says Peppa. Can we get a super potato, please, Daddy? Daddy Pig picks up a super potato. Is it made of plastic? Better than that, says Mr. Fox. It's made of potato. Well, in that case, I'll have two, please, says Daddy Pig. Hooray! Here's Peppa. Super potato to the rescue! Peppa goes inside the cinema. She has spotted her friend Susie Sheep. Hello, Susie, says Peppa. Look, I've got Super Potato. I've got him too, says Susie. Everyone, please take your seats, says Miss Rabbit. The film is about to start. The cinema is big and dark. Peppa's seat is right next to Rebecca Rabbit. Hello, Rebecca, says Peppa. I've got Super Potato. I've got Mrs. Carrot, says Rebecca. Shh, whispers Mummy Pig. The film is about to start. After a little while, Peppa asks Mummy Pig to take her to the toilet. Is it in here? asks Peppa, opening a door. It is not the toilet. This is the projector. It's the machine that shows the film, says Miss Rabbit. Wow, says Peppa. You get to watch Super Potato all day. Peppa and Mummy Pig sit back down. The film is getting very exciting. Super Potato has rescued Mrs. Carrot, whispered Susie. At the end, there is an extra surprise. The stars of the film walk on the stage. I want to be Super Potato when I grow up, sighs Peppa. Peppa waves at Super Potato. Show us how you fly. Super Potato jumps off the stage and whizzes up into the air. "Remember, children," he says, "don't try this at home." Oh dear, Super Potato is stuck in the cinema ceiling. Miss Rabbit flies her helicopter over the cinema. "Look!" shouts Mummy Pig. "Miss Rabbit is lifting Super Potato out." Super Potato has been rescued. Miss Rabbit is a hero.
When I grow up, I want to be Miss Rabbit.
Cheers, Peppa. Hip hip hooray! The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Spooky Halloween. It was Halloween, and Peppa and George were at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Please, can we only do spooky things today, Granny?
Asked Peppa.
Yes, of course,
Replied Granny Pig.
most definitely.
Added Grandpa. Grandpa Pig loves Halloween.
Shall we bake some spooky treats?
Said Granny Pig.
Yes, please,
Cheered Peppa and George.
Don't these cakes look yummy?
Said Grandpa Pig.
They're not yummy, Grandpa.
Said Peppa.
They're spooky. Oh, yes, very spooky.
Grandpa grinned.
Your house isn't very spooky, Grandpa.
Said Peppa.
It isn't at the moment,
Said Grandpa Pig, showing Peppa a great big box.
but let's see what we can do with these decorations. Wow, gasped Peppa, you have so many Halloween decorations. Yes, said Grandpa, we've collected a lot over the years.
After they had made the house spooky, Peppa and George wanted to make themselves spooky too. They looked in Granny and Grandpa Pig's dressing box.
Monster! Roar!
Shouted George, putting on a funny monster costume.
Look at me!
Cackled Peppa, who was dressed as a witch.
And I am the spooky vampire!
Said Grandpa in his best vampire voice.
Let's try on all the spooky costumes,
Said Peppa excitedly.
Mommy!
Shouted George, dressing up as a mummy and falling over his bandages.
Meow!
Purred Peppa, looking just like a witch's cat.
Ticka ticka!
Said George, tickling Grandpa Pig with one of his 8 furry spider legs.
I'm rattling my bones!
Said Peppa, shaking her arms and legs in a skeleton costume. Dressing up in spooky costumes was lots of fun, especially when Peppa and George both dressed up as ghosts.
Boo!
Shouted Peppa, jumping in front of Granny Pig.
Oh, you scared me, Ghost George,
Said Granny Pig.
No, I'm Ghost Peppa, Granny. That's Ghost George over there,
Said Peppa, pointing and giggling. Peppa and George decided to change one more time. George liked the skeleton costume the best, but Peppa had something else in mind.
Look at me, said Peppa. I'm a magical Halloween unicorn.
Well, we can't have Halloween without a magical Halloween unicorn, can we? Laughed Grandpa Pig. Granny and Grandpa Pig gave Peppa and George a big round of applause.
You're both so spooky, said Granny Pig. What spooky thing can we do next? Asked Peppa. Why don't you put on a spooky show? Suggested Grandpa Pig. Yes, cried Peppa. We can invite Mummy and Daddy and our friends to watch it. That sounds like a lot of fun, said Granny Pig. Spooky fun, asked Peppa. Oh yes, of course, Peppa. Spooky fun, said Granny Pig, laughing. Later that afternoon, Mammy and Daddy Pig arrived at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. Wow, Granny and Grandpa Pig have gone all out this year, said Mummy Pig as she knocked on the door. The door creaked open, and there stood Grandpa Pig in his costume. Welcome to the spooky house, he said. I trust you have come to watch this evening's performance of the spooky show. Yes, replied Daddy Pig, a little confused. Once all their friends had arrived, it's time for the spooky show, announced Peppa. We hope you find it spooky, cried George. Everyone in the audience clapped and cheered excitedly. Peppa and George took it in turns to dress up in the spooky costumes, jump in front of the audience and shout, "Boo!" George was a monster, and Mummy, and a furry spider, and Peppa was a black cat, a ghost, a rattly skeleton, and a cackling witch. Ooh, gasped their friends, giggling. So spooky! At the end of the show, Peppa and George jumped out in their favourite costumes. I'm the magical Halloween unicorn, and this is Skeleton George, Peppa cried. We hope you enjoyed our show. Peppa and George bowed as the audience clapped. Oh! Cheered Danny Dog in his werewolf costume. What a fantastic show, said Vampire Grandpa Pig, patting Peppa and George on the back. Well done! Now then, everyone, said Granny Pig, it's time for some spooky dancing. Hooray! Everybody cheered, jumping up to dance to the funny, spooky music. Did you have a fun day at Granny and Grandpa's house? Mummy Pig asked Peppa and George on their way home. No, Mummy, it wasn't fun, replied Peppa. It was spooktacular. Peppa and George love Halloween. Everyone loves Halloween. The end. Peppa Pig and the Easter Rainbow. Peppa and George are going on an Easter egg hunt. I want to find lots of eggs, one in every colour, says Peppa. George finds the first egg. It is red. Peppa finds the next one.
Wow.
Look, George, it's orange. Mummy and Daddy Pig are hunting too. Mummy finds an egg in a colour she loves, yellow. Daddy Pig looks everywhere. I know there's an egg around here somewhere, he says. Oh, there we go, he says. A green egg for me. This is fun, says Peppa. She and George want to look for more eggs, but the grass is too high. Don't worry, Peppa, says Daddy. I'll mow it. Daddy gets out the lawnmower. He pushes. Crack, snap.
Oh no!
Oh no! Daddy Pig's lawnmower won't work. Maybe I can fix it, says Daddy Pig. I think we need help, said Mummy Pig. Here comes Grandpa Pig. His big lawnmower will cut that grass fast. Back and forth he goes. Now Peppa and George can look for more coloured eggs. Blue for George, indigo and violet for Peppa. Peppa, George, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig have gathered a lot of Easter eggs. Drip, 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 drip. It starts to rain. Oh no! But then, just as quickly, the sun comes out. Do you know what happens when it's sunny and rainy at the same time? Asked Mummy Pig. I know, says Peppa. You get a rainbow. Everyone looks up. A beautiful rainbow stretches across the sky. Says George. And do you know what's at the end of the rainbow? Asked Daddy Pig. Treasure, let's find it, shouts Peppa. Peppa and her family follow the rainbow in the car. Uphill and down. Peppa looks at the rainbow. She looks at the eggs. Look, she says. We found eggs in every colour of the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet.
Wow.
Peppa makes an Easter egg rainbow. Daddy Pig points. I think the treasure is right over there. Everyone goes to the treasure. A great big muddy puddle for jumping. The end. Peppa the Easter Bunny. Peppa is painting a picture of the Easter Bunny with some yummy chocolate eggs. Let's have a surprise Easter egg hunt, George, she cries. We can hide the eggs in the garden, then our friends can come and look for them. Yippee! Cheers, George. Mummy and Daddy Pig help Peppa and George decorate Easter eggs and hide them in the garden. You're just like the Easter Bunny, Peppa, says Mummy Pig. Peppa giggles. I am the Easter Bunny, she says, hopping around like a bunny rabbit. Daddy, says Peppa when they finish hiding the eggs, can I surprise my friends and dress up as the Easter Bunny? Chip chip, asked George. Says Daddy Pig, thinking. Let's see what we can find in the dressing up box. In no time, Peppa is dressed as the Easter Bunny and George is dressed as a chick.
Wow.
Perfect, says Daddy Pig proudly. Your friends will be here soon, says Mummy Pig. I'll help you hide so you can surprise them. Just then, the doorbell rings. Daddy Pig answers the door. It's Peppa's friends. We're here for Peppa and George's surprise Easter egg hunt, says Danny Dog excitedly. Splendid. This way, please, says Daddy Pig, leading them to the garden. Ready, steady, hop, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa's friends set off hopping, skipping and running around the garden, looking for eggs. Found one, says Susie Sheep. Me too, says Danny. This is the best Easter egg hunt ever,
Meow.
cries Candy Cat. We've all found an egg, says Susie, but where are Peppa and George? The children hear a tap, tap, tap noise coming from behind a bush. Look, gasped Pedro Pony. There are 2 giant Easter eggs left. The children run over as the giant eggs begin to crack. Tap, 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 tap. And out jump Peppa and George. Surprise, says Peppa. Peppa the Easter Bunny, gasped the children. And George the chick. Did you like our surprise Easter egg hunt? asked Peppa. Yes! Everyone cheers. Everyone loves the Easter egg hunt. Everyone loves Peppa the Easter Bunny and George the chick. The end. Peppa Pig, Happy Hanukkah. Peppa and George are visiting their grandparents. Peppa smells something wonderful and potatoey. I'm making latkes, says Granny Pig. A latkes is a potato pancake. It's what people eat on Hanukkah.
Wow.
What Hanukkah? Peppa asks. Hanukkah is a festival of lights, replies Grandpa Pig. People celebrate the Festival of Lights all over the world. Tonight we will celebrate too. Long ago there wasn't any electricity, says Granny Pig. Do you know what uses electricity? Peppa thinks about it. Television, she says. That's right, Peppa. There wasn't any television. There weren't any light switches either. Back then, you needed fire to see in the dark. That gives Peppa an idea. Let's play a game, she tells George. We'll pretend we lived long ago when there was no electricity. Peppa turns the light switch off. It's dark. What can we do without light? Granny Pig asks. Peppa thinks about it. Then she gets an idea. We can make a fort. Together, Peppa and George find cushions, pillows and a blanket. They build a fort with all of their material.
Wow.
But just as Peppa is about to add the finishing touch, George knocks it down. George, Peppa says, that wasn't very nice. George giggles. The pillows are everywhere.
Oh no!
Peppa can't see them because the lights are off. I can't put the fort back together now, Peppa says. Grandpa Pig has an idea. Why don't we light a candle? He asks. Grandpa Pig lights a candle and Peppa and George can see. Peppa and George start to put the fort back together. But before they're done, the candle has burned through.
Oh no!
It must have been very hard to live without electricity, Peppa says. Granny Pig turns the lights back on. Long ago, there was a light that lasted for 8 days, she says. We celebrate this miracle by lighting the candles on a menorah. It has 8 candles, and each night a new one is lit. Tonight is the 8th night of Hanukkah. So that means, Grandpa Pig starts to say. All the candles will be lit, chimes Peppa. They also light the tallest candle in the middle. It is called the Helper. Do you play any games on Hanukkah? Peppa asks. Yes, Granny Pig says. One of the games is called a dreidel. A dreidel is a spinning top. If you win, you get chocolates.
Hooray!
Peppa and George cheer. They like games. They like chocolate. Granny Pig gives every player a handful of chocolate coins. They each put one in the middle. Then she spins the dreidel. It lands on a little letter that is called a nun. A nun means I don't get any chocolates, Granny Pig explains. Now it is the next player's turn. Grandpa Pig spins the dreidel. He gets a letter called a shin. Oh no! Grandpa Pig grumbles. A shin means I have to put a chocolate in. Go look, Peppa, says Granny Pig. What did the dreidel land on? Peppa crawls under the table. It's a gimel. That means you win all the chocolates in the middle, Grandpa Pig says.
Hooray!
Peppa smiles. I love Hanukkah, she says. Happy Hanukkah! Hanukkah is the festival of lights. It is celebrated in the Hebrew month of Kislev, which usually falls in November or December. People celebrate Hanukkah in lots of different ways. They always celebrate the miracle of light. On Hanukkah, a special candle holder called a menorah is used. On the first night, only one candle is lit. On the second night, only 2. By the 8th night, all candles are lit. The candle in the middle of the menorah is called a shamash. That means helper in Hebrew. People use this candle to light the other ones from right to left. Many families eat latkes, jelly donuts and other food that's covered in oil to remember the oil that burned for 8 days. Families also play dreidel or spinning top. This can be played with candy, cookies or even gold coins. Some families also give gifts on each night of Hanukkah. Often, those gifts include money or donations for those who need it. The end. Peppa Pig Garden Games. It is a lovely sunny day. Peppa and George are playing outside with Susie Sheep. Daddy Pig brings out a large box. It is full of garden games. Here you are, he says. Susie looks inside the box. She pulls out 3 wooden sticks.
Wow!
Juggle sticks, she cries. Watch me juggle. Susie throws the sticks up into the air. They all land on the grass. Those aren't juggling sticks, laughs Daddy Pig. They are skittles. Daddy Pig stands the skittles up. Peppa throws a ball and tries to knock the skittles down. Hooray! Shouts Peppa. I got 2.
Hooray!
Now it's Susie's turn.
This game is very hard.
warns Peppa. You probably won't be able to do it. Susie throws the ball. She knocks over all the Skittles.
Wow.
Oh, says Peppa. George is too little for Skittles. He wants to play bat and ball instead. Peppa can throw the ball, says Daddy Pig, and George has to bat it. George hits the ball. Susie catches it. Oh dear, George is out.
Oh no!
Poor George. He is too little for bat and ball. You just need a bit more practice, says Daddy Pig. Watch me. Daddy Pig bats the ball hard. Oops! It has gone all the way into the house. Mummy Pig is having a coffee in the kitchen. She is very surprised to see Daddy Pig. Can we have our ball back, please? He asks. Yes, says Mummy Pig, but please play more carefully in the future. Danny Dog comes to play in the garden too. Daddy Pig decides to start a new game. He gets 2 bars and a yellow pole out of the box. What's that? Says Peppa. Limbo, replies Daddy Pig.
Wow.
He turns on some music, leans backwards, then walks underneath the pole. Daddy Pig makes the pole lower, but this time he can't walk underneath it. Your tummy is too big, giggles Peppa. My turn, says Danny. Danny, Peppa, Susie and George all walk under the pole. Now we'll make the pole even lower, says Daddy Pig. Easy, giggles Peppa. But this time, when Peppa tries, the pole falls down. It's impossible, she decides. Nobody can walk under that. The pole is very, very low, says George. He wants to have a go. Wow, shouts Danny. George can do it! George is the best at limbo because he is so little. Well done, George. The end. Peppa Pig Doctors. It is playtime. Peppa and Pedro Pony are playing in the garden when they hear a squeak from up in a tree. What's that noise? Asked Pedro. He looks up and gasps. It's Tiddles the tortoise. Don't worry, Tiddles. We can get you down. I'll just shake this tree and... Whoosh! Tiddles falls from the tree and bumps Pedro's nose on the way down. Ouch! Shouts Pedro. Madame Gazelle comes to help. Oh dear, what happened? She asks. Tiddles fell on Pedro's nose, says Peppa. Madame Gazelle calls the doctor. Dr. Brown Bear hurries over. Where is the patient? He asks. My nose hurts, says Pedro. Dr. Brown Bear gives Pedro a green plaster for his nose. That will make it better, says Dr. Brown Bear.
Hooray!
My glasses fell in the mud, says Pedro. You'll need an optician to fix them, says Dr. Brown Bear. The optician arrives. It is Dr. Pony. He is Pedro's daddy. Can you please read this chart for me, Pedro? Says Dr. Pony. I can't see. My glasses aren't working, says Pedro. Dr. Pony spots the problem. These glasses just need a good clean, says Dr. Pony. He carefully wipes away the mud and gives the clean glasses back to Pedro. I can see again, says Pedro.
Hooray!
Thank you, doctors. Everything is back to normal, says Madame Gazelle. But Tiddles needs helping too, cries Peppa. Can you doctors help a tortoise in trouble? asks Madame Gazelle. I'm afraid not, but we know someone who can, replies Dr. Pony. I'll call them now. Dr. Hamster the vet arrives. Tiddles fell out of the tree, Pedro tells Dr. Hamster. Tiddles, you little pickle, says Dr. Hamster. She flips him over so he can stand up again. All of a sudden, Dr. Elephant the dentist appears. Hello, I heard there was an emergency. Are everyone's teeth okay? He asks. Yes, thank you, everyone answers. Dr. Elephant sets off on his way. My car won't start, cries Dr. Elephant. None of the doctors know what to do. I know who to call, says Madame Gazelle. Grandad Dog's breakdown service. Grandad Dog arrives. He opens up the car bonnet and has a look. Right, now try the engine, he says. Dr. Elephant's car has been fixed.
Hooray!
Grandad Dog is a car doctor, cheers Peppa. There are doctors for everything, even cars. Everyone loves doctors. The end. Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig's Blackberries. Peppa and her family are visiting Granny and Grandpa Pig. Granny Pig is going to make a delicious apple and blackberry crumble. I need some brave explorers to go and get the fruit, says Granny Pig. Aye, aye, Granny Pig, everyone replies. First we need to pick the apples, says Mummy Pig. That's the easy bit, says Grandpa Pig. On the count of 3, shake the tree. 1, 2, 3. Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa and George all shake the tree. Apples fall from the branches.
Hooray!
Peppa and George catch them in their baskets as they fall. This is fun, says Peppa. Now it's time to collect the blackberries, says Mummy Pig. Why can't we just have an apple crumble? asks Grandpa Pig. Because blackberries are tasty too, says Mummy Pig, leading everyone to a gigantic blackberry bush. This bush has been here since I was a little piggy. Ouch! cries George. He has pricked himself on one of the thorns.
Ouch!
Careful, George, you might get tangled, says Grandpa Pig. I use a stick for picking hard-to-reach blackberries.
Wow!
Grandpa Pig uses his stick to pull down the branches that are hard to reach. Mummy Pig climbs her ladder. The best blackberries are right at the very top of the bush, she says. Don't lean too far over, says Daddy Pig. Don't worry, says Mummy Pig. I've been climbing this blackberry bush since I was a little girl. Mummy Pig stretches as far as she can to reach the juiciest blackberries. Ooh, she cries. Mummy Pig has fallen into the blackberry bush and can't get out. Just then, Susie Sheep arrives. "Hello, Peppa," says Susie. "Hello, Susie," says Peppa. "My mummy is stuck in the blackberry bush. She's like Sleeping Beauty," says Susie. "I know that story," cries Peppa. "There was a princess called Sleeping Beauty," begins Peppa. "One day she fell asleep in a thorny bush and stayed there for 100 years. "That's a nice story, Peppa," says Mummy Pig. "But can someone think of a way to get me out of here?" Daddy Pig uses Grandpa Pig's pruners to cut the blackberry bush. Daddy Pig has rescued Mummy Pig. "My prince," says Mummy Pig. "Mummy is a blackberry bush," says Peppa, giggling. Everyone picks up blackberries from Mummy Pig and heads back to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. "Granny," says Peppa excitedly, "Mummy got stuck in a blackberry bush and Daddy rescued her." "I don't want to see another blackberry in my life," says Mummy Pig. "So you don't want any apple and blackberry crumble then?" asked Granny Pig. "Maybe just a little," says Mummy Pig. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.